Archei tachavei keshet ki amra l'Rebbe motayalet batei mineged batisat kolavatei vayishma Elohim ekol hanahar vayikra malach Elohim elagar min hashamayim vayomer la malach hagar al tihiri Kishama Elohim Ekol Hanar Basher Husham Kumi Si et Anar V'achaziki et Yadech Bo Ki L'goy Gadol Asimanu V'yivkach Elohim et Einecha V'tereh Be'er Mayim V'telech V'timalei Etachim et Mayim V'tashket Anar Vayehi Elohim et hanar vayidam vayeshev b'midbar vayehi revekashat vayeshev b'midbar paran vatikach lo imo isha
Eretz Mizrayim Shekoyach.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lana tarat emet v'chayei olam natan b'chotenu Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Beautiful job, Master. Watch your step, guys, on this side. To our fourth aliyah, we invite Carrie to come forward, and her husband as well. Ta'amod Pearl Bat Chaim Nachum V'Leah Aliyah Revi'it. So before we offer the fourth aliyah, I invite all to please rise. We'll offer a special prayer for Holiem, for all those who are ill. We invite in our hearts, when I pause in the prayer, I invite you to offer the names quietly of those you're holding in your heart who are in need of healing. Mishaberach Avotenu, Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, V'imotenu Sarif Kavachev Leah, Hu Yivarech V'rapeh, Et Acholim Es Mordechai Moshe Tzvi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleihem, L'achzikam Rapotam, וישלח להם רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, ועוד הנפש ועוד הגוף. בתוך שאר החולים, חזק ידי עוסקים בצרכיהם, שבת ונזרוק רופאה קרוב לבוא השתה בגלה בזמן קריב, ונאמר Amen. May the Holy One who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bring blessing and healing to all those we pray for. May the Holy One mercifully restore them to health and vigor, granting them spiritual and physical well-being, together with all others who are ill. May God grant strength to those who tend to them. The Shabbat is a time to refrain from crying out. We had hope and pray that healing is at hand. And let us say together. El na revana la, el na revana la, el na revana la, revuah shelema, el na revana la, el na revana la, el na revana la, revuah shelema. You may be seated. So continue now with our fourth aliyah, find on page 116, verse 22.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevarach.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hayamin, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayehi ba'etahi vayomer Avimelech ufichol sartzvo el Avraham le'mor Elohim imcha b'chol asher ta'aseh b'yatah yishavali Elohim hena im tishkor li ulnini ulnechdi Kach hesed asher asitim cha tasei madi bim haaretz asher garta ba. Vayomer Abraham Anochi ish aveya. Vehochiach Abraham et Avimelech alo be'er hamayim asher gazlu ad Avimelech. Vayomer Avimelech lo yadati mi asa et hadavar hazeh v'gam ata lo higadet li v'gam anochi lo shamati bilti hayom. Vayikach Abraham tzahon v'kar vayitin v'Avimelech vayichretu shnehem brid vayatzev Abraham et sheva kivsot hatzon levadhen vayomer Avimelech el Abraham mahena sheva kivsot ha'ela asher hitzavta levadana vayomer ki et sheva kevasot tikach miadi bavor tieli leda ki chafarti et aberazot al ken kara lamakom hahu be'er shava ki sham nishbu shnehem vayichretu ribi ve'er shava vayakam Avimelech ufichol sartavo vayashuvu el eretz plishtim vayita eshel biver shava vayikra sham b'shem Adonai el olam vayagor Abraham v'eretz plishtim
Yamim Rabim. Shkoyach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Congratulations. Mazel tov. Okay. So that's okay. It's on the side. It's okay. All right. So we're now in our fifth aliyah. We invite Ariana to come forward for the special honor. We are reading here verse 1, page 117. Tamod Chava bat Aviva Rivka v'Shoshana l'aliyah chamishit.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvara.
Baruch Adonai Hamvara le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayehi achar advarim ha'ela v'ha'elohim nisa ad Avraham vayomer elav Avraham vayomer hineni vayomer kachna epicha et yichidcha asher ahavta et Yitzchak V'lech lecha el eretz haMoriah, v'aleu sham le'alaha al achad harim asher amarei lecha. Vayashkem Avraham baboker, vayachavo shechem arohu vayikach et shnei na'arav ito v'yeit Yitzchak beno. Vayevaka atzeyola, vayakam vayelech el makom asher amar lo Elohim, vayom hashishi, vayisa Avraham et einav, vayar et hamakom merachok. Vayomer Avraham el nerav, shvuachem poim hachamor, vani v'hana'ar nelcha adko, v'nishtachalev v'nashiv aleichem. ויקח אברהם את עצי הלך, וישם על יצחק בנו, ויקח בידו את האש ואת המאכלת, וילכו שניהם יחדיו. ויאמר יצחק אל אברהם אביו, ויאמר אבי, ויאמר הנני בני, ויאמר הנה האש והעצים, ויעשה לעלה. ויאמר אברהם אלוהים יראה לו עשה לעלה בני, וילכו שניהם יחדיו.
יישר כוח, לינדה, כל הכבוד.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. יישר כוח. We now turn to the 6th Aliyah, verse 9, page 119. We invite Big Sister to come on over. תעמוד סיפור השושנה בת שמואל משה ודבור רחל, לעלייה השישית.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Hanenrach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachal banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. ויבוא אל המקום אשר מעלו אלוהים, ויבן שם אברהם את מזבח, וירוך את העצים ויכוד יצחק בנו, וישם אותו על מזבח ממעל העצים. וישלח אברהם את ידו, ויקח את המאכלת לשחוט את בנו, ויקרא לה מלאך אדוני מן השמיים, ויאמר אברהם, ויאמר הנני, ויאמר אל תשלח ידך אל נהר, ואל תעש לו מאומה, כי אתה ידעתי, כי ירא אלוהים אתה, ולא חסכת את בנך, את יחידך ממני. ויישא אברהם את עיניו, וירא והנה העיר לאחר, נאחז בסבך בקרניו. וילך אברהם ויקח את העיר, ויעלהו לעולה תחת בנו, ויקרא אברהם שם המקום ההוא אדוני יראה, אשר יאמר היום באדוני יראה. ויקרא מלאך אדוני אל אברהם שנית מן השמיים, ויאמר בי נשבעתי נאום אדוני, כי יען אשר עשית הדבר הזה, ולא חסכת את בנך, את יחידך, כי ברך אברכך, והרבה בית זרעך ככוכבי השמיים, וככו אשר על שפת הים. וירא זרעך את שאר אויביו, ויתברכו בזרעך כל גויי הארץ, עקב אשר שמעת בקולי. וישב אברהם אל נעריו, ויקומו וילכו יחדיו אל באר שבע. וישב אברהם בבאר שבע.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. יישר כוח, beautifully done. Out of the side. So we now call for the 7th Aliyah, proud parents. We're in verse 20, page 121. יעמדו שמואל משה בן חיים נחום ולאה, ודבור רחל בת אברהם הכהן וברכה לעלייה השביעית. So 7th Aliyah, verse 20.
et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayehi acharei hadvarim ha'ele, vayugad l'Avraham lemor, hine yaladam yilkah gam hi, banim l'nachor achicha, et uz becharov et buz achiv, ve'kemuel avi Aram, ve'kesed ve'chazel ve'pildash ve'et idlav, ve'et betuel, uvtuel yalad et Rivka, shmona ele yaldam yilkah l'nachor achi Avraham, ufilag sho ushma re'uma, vateled gam hi et tevach ve'gacham, ve'tachash ve'et ma'acham.
Shkoyach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shkoach. We now rise together as we offer Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash me'ravav, yamad yivrach chirutei v'amlich malchutei, ve'hayevon or yom echad, ochai davo v'et Yisrael, v'agala, v'agala, u'bizman gad, v'meru ha'meish me'rava me'vorah, le'olam olam le'almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yidbar v'yirmam v'yidnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalat Shmer Kodeshah B'richo le'lam min kol berachatav v'shiratav Echatav v'nechemata Daviran v'yalma v'meru Amen. Be seated. Maftir Aliyah, verse 20, page 121. Yamod, 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 Bachor, Bar Mitzvah, Binyamin Yitzchak, Ben Shmo Moshe V'Dvor Rachel, Lemaftir Chazak, Bar Mitzvah, verse 20.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayehi acharei hadvarim ha'ele, vayugad l'Avraham lemor, hine yaladam yilkah gam hi, banim l'nachor achicha, et uz becharov et buz achiv, ve'ekmuel avi Aram, ve'kesed ve'chazav, ve'pildash ve'et yidlaf, ve'et betuel, uvtuel yalad et Rivka, shmona ele yaldam yilkah l'nachor et Avraham, ufilag sho ushma re'uma, v'teled gam hi et tevach ve'gacham, ve'tachash ve'et ma'acham.
Shkoyach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov. Smile, man. Mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov. Elanu, 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 olecho Yisrael. Elanu, elanu, olecho Yisrael. Elanu, elanu, olecho Yisrael. Elanu, elanu, olecho Yisrael. We rise now to lift and dress the Sefer Torah. To dress the Torah, we invite Berkeley to come forward. Ta'amod, Baruch ben Aviva v'Shoshana ha'golelet v'Torah. Ya'amod, Moshe ben Kalman ha'Kohen v'Esther ha'Magmiya. Ve'zod ha'Torah Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael biyad Adonai
Biyad
Moshe. Maybe seat everyone. The Haftarah for Parshat Vayera, page 124 in your Chumashim, page 124, the second book of Kings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar bin v'iyim tovim baratza v'divrehem hane'amarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek
Amen.
ואישה אחת מנשי בני הנביאים צעקה אל אלישע לאמור עבדך אישי מת ואתה ידעת כי עבדך היה ירא את אדוני והנושה בא לקחת את שני ילדי לו לעבדים ויאמר אליך אלישע מה אעשה לך הגידי לי מה יש לך בבית ותאמר אין לשפחתך חול בבית כי ימסוך שמן ויאמר לכי שאלי לך כלים מן החוץ מאת כל שכנייך כלים ריקים אותם איתי ובאת וסגרת הדלת בעדך ובעד בנייך ויצקת על כל הכלים האלה וחמלי תשיעי ותלך מאיתו ותסגור הדלת בעדך ובעד בנייך הם מגישי אליה והיא מוצקת ויהי כמלות הכלים ותאמר אל בנה הגישה אלי עוד כלי ויאמר אליה אין עוד כלי ויעמוד השמן ותבוא ותגיד לאיש אלוהים ויאמר לכי מכרי את השמן ושלמי את נשייך ואת ובנייך תחיי בנותר ויהי היום ויעבור אלישע אל שונם ושם אישה גדולה ותחזק בו לאכול לחם ויהי מדי עוברו יסור שמה לאכול לחם ותאמר אלישע הנה נא ידעתי כי איש אלוהים קדוש הוא עובר עלינו תמיד נעשה נא עליית קיר קטנה ונשים לו שם מיטה ושולחן
V'hisei umnora v'haya v'vo'o elenu yasur shama v'yahi hayom v'yavo shama v'yasar el ha'aliyah v'yishkav shama v'yomer el gehazi na'aro kira lashunamit hazot v'yikra la v'ta'amod lifanav v'yomer lo emorna eleha hine harat elenu et kol harada hazot me la'asot lach hayesh ledaber lach el hamelech o el sar hatava v'tomer v'to ami anochi yoshavet v'yomer ume la'asot lach v'yomer gehazi aval bain ein la v'isha zakain v'yomer kira la v'yikra la v'ta'amod v'patach v'yomer lama wade hazeh ka'et haya at hoveket bain v'tomer at Adoni ish Elohim at techazev b'shivchatecha v'tahar ha'isha v'teled bain lamawed hazeh ka'et haya asher diber eleha Elisha v'yidal hayaled v'yahi hayom v'yitzei el aviv el hakutzarim v'yomer el aviv roshi v'yomer el hanar sa'ehu elimo v'yisa'ehu v'yehu elimo v'yeshev abirkeha ahatzahoraim v'yamot v'ta'al v'tashkivehu al mitat ish Elohim v'tisgor ba'ado v'titzei v'tikra Elisha v'tomer shilcha na li echad min hane'arim v'arutza v'achat ha'atonot v'arutza ad ish Elohim v'ashuva v'yomer madua ad holechet elav hayom lohodesh v'lo Shabbat v'tomer shalom baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam tzur kol ha'olamim tzadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh hamdaber umkaye shekol devarav emet v'tzedek ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'ne'emanim devarecha v'davarecha midvarecha achor lo yashuv rekam ki el melech ne'eman v'rachaman ata baruch ata Adonai
Baruch Hu B'Shemo.
el hane'eman b'chol devara
Amen.
Rachaim al Tzion ki hi beit hayenu v'la aluvat nefesh toshia b'imcheira v'yamenu baruch ata Adonai
Baruch Hu B'Shemo.
mesamech Tzion b'vanecha
Amen.
samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu be'eliyahu hanavi avdecha u'malchut beit David meshivchecha b'imcheira yavo vayagel libenu al ki solo yeshev zar velo yinchalu od achirim et kivodo ki v'shem kodshecha nishbata lo shelo yichben nero leolam ba'ed Baruch Atah Adonai
Oshemu.
Magen David.
Amen.
Al HaTorah, V'al Havodah, V'al HaNevi'im, V'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh, Shenatata Lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Likdusha V'limnucha, L'chavod U'tif'aret. Al HaKol, Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu Modim La, Umvarchim Otah, Yitbarach Shimcha B'fi Kol Chai, Tamid Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai,
Oshemu.
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Shekoch to our bar mitzvah. We now, after a beautiful haftarah, he's going to offer now a Devar Torah, his commentary. He's actually given permission to remove his mask all the way, in fact. Special for the bar mitzvah, new policy, all right, if you'd like. But he must smile and show a shena punim. There we go, all right. Smiling, enjoying, get the mic right. Okay, Ben, Bakasha, Devar Torah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
The Torah portion of the week is called Vayera. In the portion, 3 visitors go to the town that Abraham and Sarah live in, and Abraham is standing at the doorway of the tent actively looking for strangers. He sees the visitors and welcomes them into his tent. The visitors tell Sarah that she is going to have a baby, but she doesn't believe them because she is very old. God then tells Abraham that he is going to destroy the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah because of all the bad people, but Abraham bargains with him, and God agrees that if there are 10 innocent people in the cities, he won't destroy them. The only good person they find, though, is Lot, and he flees before the cities are destroyed. Sarah then gives birth to Isaac, and God tells Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. Abraham is about to do so, but an angel stops him. One theme that comes up several times in this Torah portion is the treatment of strangers or newcomers. What is the Torah teaching us about hospitality? Rabbi Carrie M. Olitsky, a contemporary rabbi from New Jersey, says that Sarah and Abraham should be our role model for hospitality. She thinks that we should be looking for strangers to help out as Abraham stood in the doorway of his tent, looking out for strangers to welcome. Rabbi Matthew Berkowitz, a contemporary rabbi from Jerusalem, says that we have to help out people that are less fortunate than us, just as Abraham and Sarah helped out the visitors and welcomed them into their house. I agree with the rabbis. It is important to help strangers because it's hard to be a newcomer, and we would want to be helped if we were in that situation. Right now, people from Haiti and Afghanistan had to flee their own countries because of war and natural disasters and go to other countries, including America. We can help and be hospitable by donating money or finding other ways to help families that are resettling in our community. I will keep thinking about ways that I can help, and I hope that you will too. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Awesome. Okay, bar mitzvah, put the mask back on. You can come on down here. Invite the parents to come up to the bima as well. Another one of our new minhagim. Okay, bar mitzvah. There you go. You can come right over here. We'll keep a little distance. Yefeh. Awesome. Breathe with the mask on. Take a breath. You did an amazing job, bar mitzvah. Look at you. Torah reading, haftarah, and a beautiful Devar Torah. So you're teaching really, amazing is about the idea of hospitality. But, you say it's the right thing to do. It's the menschlich thing to do. Someone's here, you welcome them. It's all true. And certainly in Middle Eastern culture in particular, where we're from originally, our original roots, absolutely it's a huge thing. But you added something to it, right? It's because it's not just because it's right or because it feels good, et cetera, or it's a mitzvah even because God commanded it. It's because you put yourself in the shoes of what it's like to be the stranger, what it's like to be a newbie. I still remember when you were a newbie into this world, okay? And when you're newbies here from the old country, New York, come on down, North Carolina, right? We've all had newbie, and even like in new schools, we've talked about that too, right? It can happen at any point in life. There's a new moment. We can feel like we are a stranger in a sense, and it's upon others to welcome us. We feel that. We feel it in our heart, and you feel that in your heart, my man. I'm so proud of you for that. That's a sensitivity to put yourself in someone else's shoes, what they feel like, and to say, hey, I want to do something to alleviate. It's going to take you so far. It's one of the deepest messages in the Torah, but it's one that you already understand in your neshama, in your soul. Beautiful job, Ben. I invite you to rise, offer our bracha to our mensch here. His parents can put his talit over his head. You fit? He's going to bow down. You can place your hands on his head as well. So Rabbi Jenny leads us in just a moment. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, the God of our foremothers and forefathers. On this holy Shabbat, bring down brachot, shefa brachot, on this wonderful bar mitzvah. Help him to always feel close to you, to feel your strength at any time, till he feels like an outsider, someone new. Give him the courage to always seek out others who are new, perhaps the stranger in our midst. Give him the strength to see that sense of justice, that sense of kindness. Give him that ability to do that even if others are not doing in the same, going against the grain. And help him, Adonai, always to feel home with the people that love him, feel at home in this holy congregation, at home with his family, and at home with you. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you, be gracious to you. May God always look upon you and grant you peace. And we say together, Amen. Okay, Ben can go back to the Torah reading table, and parents can go back to their seats, except for Diana, who's going to come over this way, because she has an honor. We now remain standing. We turn to page 178. So we offer now responsively the prayer for peace. As Mom will lead that for us responsively, we offer this prayer for peace for our country, for obviously all those in Israel, the Middle East, and all places in the world where there is suffering. Prayer for peace.
May we see the day when war and bloodshed cease, when a great peace will embrace the whole world.
The nation will not threaten nation, and the human family will not again know war.
For all who live on earth shall realize we have not come into being to hate or to destroy. We have come into being to praise, to labor, and to love.
Compassionate God, bless the leaders of all nations with the power of compassion.
Fulfill the promise conveyed in Scripture. I will bring peace to the land, for you shall lie down, and no one shall terrify you.
I will
Rid the land of vicious beasts, and shall not be ravaged by war.
Let justice and righteousness flow like a mighty stream, and let God's peace fill the earth as the waters fill the sea. And let us say, Amen.
Beautiful job. We now invite those honored to return the Sefer Torah to come back to the Bima at this time. We return the Sefer Torah to the Ark, page 183.
יהללו את שם אדוני,
כי נשגב שמו לבדו, הודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירא קהל בעמו, תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל הקרובו, הללויה.
כבורירים, אדוני אלמאים רבים, כל אדוני בכוח, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את עזי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל, לבנון בסריון, כמו בן רהמים, כל אדוני חוצר להבות אש, כל אדוני יחיל מדבר, יחיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יכול אל הילוד, ויחס סוף יערות ובחלו, כולו אומר כבוד, אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני נלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום, עץ חיים היא למחזיקים בה, ותומתיה מאושר דרכיה, דרך נוח
right elbow.
Shalom. Shivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shuva Kadesh Yameinu
Kekedem. Maybe seat, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. So it is the custom in our congregation to take some time to study the Torah portion a little bit. We kind of dig deeper into one specific moment, section, even sometimes one word. The light is coming in a little strange location. I'll try to stand where I can see you. All right, this is unusual. In any case, the text is being passed around. Hopefully everyone will have a piece of paper in your hand or share. Those who are joining us from home should see a link beside the live stream where you can click and see the text we're going to get into. It's a little bit of a complicated text. We've brought a Hasidic commentary this morning, but we're going to help frame it and bring us along and hopefully see just tremendous depth and beauty in this particular interpretation. So our bar mitzvah shared with us very beautifully that there are so many rich and interesting sections in this week's Torah portion, but the most, perhaps the most often talked about is this moment in this week's Torah portion, Vayera, in which God calls upon Abraham to sacrifice his son Yitzchak, his son Isaac. And this is probably considered among the top 10 most challenging Torah portions in all, really, of Jewish text. But I think it's important to remember that Abraham did not sacrifice his son. And perhaps that is one of the central teachings, is that God sort of calls our attention to this idea that ultimately that was not what God desired. So I'm going to give a little bit of background info, and then we'll read this specific section from the Torah in English, and then share this commentary. So, if God did not want Abraham ultimately to sacrifice his son, what was this trial? What was this test that Abraham was put through? What was it really all about? So the Sfat Emet, a Hasidic commentator, a rabbi from a couple centuries ago, had a very different idea about what Abraham was really supposed to learn from this experience. And we're going to focus in on one verse from this section of Genesis that is really interesting to the Sfat Emet. He says there's something about the way that this whole test played out that shows that Abraham needed to learn something else. All right, so Rabbi Eric, will you read this text for us?
Happy to. Okay. So sometime afterward, God put Abraham to the test. He said to him, Abraham, and he answered, Here I am. And he said, Take your son, your favored one, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the heights that I will point out to you. So early next morning, Abraham saddled his ass and took with him two of his servants and son Isaac. He split the wood for the burnt offering, and he set out for the place of which God had told him. On the third day, Abraham looked up and saw the place, Hamakom, also named for God, from afar.
Okay, so we're going to focus on this last little section, which we could easily gloss over, but perhaps there is some more meaning here for us to understand. So Abraham looked up and saw the place, and we know in Hebrew, Hamakom, the place, is another name for God, the divine, from afar. So one other piece of information to know is that there's a little bit of a word play going on, and you don't have to be a Hebrew scholar to hear this just by listening. So the name of this week's Torah portion is Vayera, and in this case, when it says he saw, it's Vayar. It's all part of this idea of seeing. And at the same time, there is this quality that is talked about. It's a divine quality, but it's also a human quality called yirah. So vayera and yirah. Vayera, to see, and yirah which is usually translated as fear, but it's more of a sense of sort of awe and reverence. So they're not the same word, but they sound a lot alike. And the rabbi, the Sfat Emet, is going to play on this connection between the fact that Abraham saw, and it instilled within him, awakened within him, this quality of yirah, actually of fear and awe and reverence. So before we look at the next Hasidic commentator, and then we're actually going to engage in some conversation, some discussion, what we can distill from this text as it applies to our own lives, it's important to know one other very important piece of information. According to Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah, which the Hasidic masters really incorporated into their teaching, each person sort of has a specific way that they typically move through the world. And they have a trait, maybe even a divine trait, that they are associated with. And for Avraham, that quality was love, ahava, or chesed. That's the way that he moved through the world. It's how he treated guests. That's how he treated his wife. That's how he related to God. Ahava, love, this felt sense of closeness, of connection, something that could be felt right here. What he lacked, what he did not have as much of, is a balancing quality of yirah, of fear, that sense of being able to relate to God from afar, that sense of God that is a mystery, that sense of God that perhaps even raises within him a sense of fear or uncertainty. All right, let's take a look at this next Hasidic text from the Sfat Emet.
Okay. So in the trial of the Akedah, it is written, on the third day Abraham looked up and saw Vayar, the place from afar. God tested Abraham in the virtue of awe, yirah, because Abraham was primarily characterized by love and closeness to God, as the verse says. Now God had said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am to do? This trial was from afar, in the aspect of awe, fear, yirah. And for this reason, the verse says, after the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, for now I know that you fear God. Similarly, Abraham names the place Adonai Yireh, God will see or God will fear, because this is the place where he learned fear. For this reason, the trial was not aimed at Isaac. Fear awe was his primary characteristic, and thus this would not be a trial for him. Surely each person, patriarch, had perfected their own attributes. The point of a trial is to challenge other attributes that still need work.
So there's a lot in here, but I think one of the things that the Sfat Emet is getting at is that this trial was not just for the point of Abraham sort of blindly following God's demands, but that there was actually a quality within Abraham that needed to grow, which was his sense of yirah. So the first question that I just want to put out for our community gathered here to consider is, what is the difference between moving through life or relating to God, however you want to think about that, from a quality of love and a quality of fear or awe or reverence? What's the difference between those two qualities? Or, sort of a related question, why might that quality of fear, reverence, yirah, be an important complement to the quality of ahava, of love? Any thoughts? You might think about this with a parenting set of eyes, or a teacher's set of eyes, or a leader's set of eyes. We can all kind of relate to this, I think, if we think about our own relationships, especially when you've been in the position of being a leader or an authority. What's the difference between love and fear? Sarah?
Love is something you feel for someone else, and awe is something that you still feel it, but it's not as focused on you yourself.
Great.
Wow.
Wonderful. So Sarah's talking about, and we used to pass the mic around, but we don't do that during COVID times. So Eric and I will sort of summarize what you share so that the folks at home can hear clearly. So Sarah's offering an interpretation that love is something, like directionally speaking, you feel towards somebody else, And yirah, that quality of fear, reverence, is something you feel perhaps coming towards you, but it takes you a little bit less out of the equation. Did I get that? Okay, great. Yes, Deborah.
I think that love without reverence or fear or awe is, can be abusive. It can be, because maybe partly what Sarah said, it's all about me and about what I need and about what I feel. If I don't have reverence or awe or respect for the person or thing or whatever that I love, then I don't have any sense of what their needs are. I feel consuming.
Wow, great. So Deborah's suggesting that yirah balances out ahava, fear balances out love, because if we're sort of all about love, it could be all about getting our own needs met, and we might lose sight of that sense of awe and reverence. What does the other person need in the dynamic? Tom. Yeah, beautiful. I think Tom's making the point when Abraham says, we're going to go up, we're going to follow God's command, I'm going to take my son up, and we're coming back, that it perhaps hints at this idea that Abraham was building up this sense of yirah, to know that we don't know how, but we're both coming back after this trial. So great, that really helps build that point. Barry.
I think there's something about fear that's not just being frightened or being intimidated, but a fear in the sense of the awe. That there's something so much greater than we can possibly think about. It's good perspective. And it's like the dark clouds that come and the lightning and the thunder that we feel when we're children and wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's so beyond our ability to understand it that we can respect it, but it's immense. I wouldn't call it strength, not good weapon. Something so creative and beyond.
Beautiful. So Barry is suggesting that there's a kind of spirituality associated with awe, which is also where you're sort of just amazed. That sometimes we associate that kind of radical amazement with the natural spirituality of children. They're like, wow, what's going to happen? That too is part of a robust spirituality, is to be able to stand in that place, not so much of being frightened, but really having awe, reverence. Yes, Seth.
I think that it's tough love. Maybe the first example. You must struggle. I can't do everything for you. Or have you ever been watched?
Just saying, yes. Fantastic.
I think it's a
Fantastic.
great
You want to
point.
summarize
Yeah,
that?
so that's basically saying it's an example of, this is the first example of tough love. It's like love, but with love without any strength, like because I love you, I'm willing to kind of push you. I love you means I'm going to create some boundaries with you. Love means I'm going to actually be tough with you. It's not because I don't love you, it's actually because I love you that I'm going to make you do something or push you something you may not want to do as well. I think it's a very profound point. I was going to add on, I remember back, I hadn't thought this just till now, when I first learned this concept a number of years ago, and a teacher of mine said, within every love, healthy love we could say, certainly there is yirah, there's a boundary, there's some awe, a certain degree of distance, because too much of it, lack of balance, as Deborah was noting and Seth's noting. But even another nuance to it was that he said, within every love, there is fear. And I remember him saying, I was like, what? Like, what do you mean within it? Like inside. He says, if you love someone deeply and profoundly, partner, child, parent, you love them, you are deeply afraid of losing them.
Or hurting them.
Or hurting them. In fact, if you love and you're not afraid of losing them, not clear that's love. Deep Thoughts by Rabbi Eric. Okay. It wasn't me, it was my teacher. It's profound. It's kind of like the sense that both the gift of an experience of Abraham understood loving God, but Abraham also understand what it means to be somehow what it would be to lose God or even potentially lose his child. Does he get that part?
Yes.
That's been one of the teachings as well. Henry, Bakasha.
I think to some extent we're playing word games.
Okay.
I think you did a good job of saying how love and fear mingle.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to also say they also are separate. Fear often is fear of something evil. Awe is often being impressed by something great, of great worthiness, of great admiration. And so it's a little bit of playing word games. You look at the separate meanings or the mingling.
Henry makes a very nice point here about the idea that we were putting them as kind of dynamics or Henry's saying that love and fear can be separate. I don't want to say. Do you want to say it better than me? I'm adding to it quickly. I'll make sure.
You can add to it.
Okay, so Henry, what I'm hearing from you is that love and awe are not necessarily mixed together like I was mingling them. They actually could be just two distinct poles that you actually separate from one another. It got me to start thinking even further, just to think about it. Like, for example, like if I love something, if I deeply love it, there is a desire, naturally, to come close to it. But there is a love that also means I stand back from it. So, for example, like, let's say I love the United States, right? Now, I'm not getting here at the politics of whether you can do these things. Of course, you have the freedom to. But, like, for example, when some of you know at funerals, it's very powerful when someone has served our country at the very end. Some of you have seen this before, where the soldiers will come and honorarily give the flag to the person. The person takes the flag and holds it like it's almost like a child. It's so powerful. On one knee says, on behalf of a grateful nation, the President of the United States, whoever that president is, it doesn't matter. It's a reverence for that flag because I both love the flag, love the country, I hold it. But on the one hand, it's just material, quote unquote. It's just colors, quote unquote. No, because I love it, I hold it gingerly. I honor it on some way. So I love actually means that I don't trample on it on some level. Now, Henry was saying there's like two distinct things. I'm saying, yeah, perhaps they can live in the same experience. I both love it and I keep careful with it at the same time.
Beautiful.
Yes, Mike, Vakasha.
It strikes me that it's also true that in love there's fear in the sense that you're vulnerable to that loss.
Exactly.
It's certainly as you get older, you become aware that, unless both of you pass at the same instant, one is going to lose the other. And do you embrace that fear? And there's a way, there's sort of a love that does not embrace. There's a love that is sort of the joy you feel at 18, 19, 20, which is wonderful. It's not a way of putting that down. There's also a love that's okay. We're embracing each other in infirmity as well, and that is inevitable. I mean, that's what certainly starts with the age. Inevitable.
Yes.
Not,
yes.
Jim Morrison said nobody here gets out alive.
That's right.
Right.
That's the way it is. But so there's that. But so love without that, embrace that fear from afar, that distance seemed a long ways away 30 years ago when I married Kate. That distance is no longer that far away. But a love that doesn't embrace that, in some ways, isn't very real either.
Yeah.
There is that fear of loss and infirmity and all these kinds of things that will happen.
Yeah.
Inevitably.
Yeah. So Mike,
true, Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
So true.
Such great wisdom. Mike's talking about really an integration, a commingling of this quality of ahava, of love, and yirah, fear, that hopefully we begin to internalize for ourselves as we grow in age and grow in wisdom. Because as we love more and more deeply, we also sense that at some point we will lose. That is just the nature of being in this life as mortal beings. So I also want to suggest here that, this is really a teaching about how we relate to other people and relate to ourselves for the matter, but also how Abraham is learning to relate to God. That part of that maturation process that Mike is talking about is like, when we're younger, perhaps, in the earlier stages of our lives, we relate to God. We feel God's presence most in the midst of love, maybe from a loving parent, a loving caregiver, that sense that we are held, that we are secure it's very, very close and proximate. As we get older and we begin to experience a little bit more like the mysteries of life, the nature of suffering, the nature of evil, the nature of the fact that all of us meet loss and challenge, then how do we relate to God through that kind of uncertainty? That kind of sense that like we don't know how all the pieces are going to fit together. And can I relate to God? Can I maintain a relationship with the divine, however you understand that or struggle with that? From a place of ahava, yes, love, but also yirah. And Abraham this is sort of mystifying. You know, what does it mean to take my son, the one I love, and do this thing? And God is saying, you can know me through mystery as well. You can know me through awe. You can know me through uncertainty. I can be there with you. We can be connected, even when it's hard to make sense of it all. There is ahava and there is yirah. And I think one of the beautiful messages we can also take for ourselves is that all of us also have kind of a natural way that we move through the world. Maybe you're a person who's just like, your natural MO is yirah, just like you walk around life with more like, wow, I don't get it. Maybe that has a tinge of fear, maybe just a sense of kind of radical amazement. Others of us who feel God, or feel spiritual, who feel connected more from that place of ahava, of love. But I think here we learn, like Abraham, our great forefather, part of his life's mission is also to learn how to experience all of that and to grow in the places where he is sort of less naturally oriented. And that's for all of us too. I know for myself, like I have a way that's definitely more of an ahava way. And I've had to learn how to bring more yirah into my parenting, more yirah into my loving relationships. So those two things are also just ways that we can grow in our humanity, in our spirituality. So yasher koach, everyone.
Yasher koach, kol hakavod. You can pass your text over, be collected in the middle by some of our mentions. We now rise together on page 184 for Chatzi Kaddish of Musaf.
יתקדש ויתקדש מרבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייך וביומך ובחיילך בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריבים ירו, אמן. יש מרבה מברך, לעולם ועליה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם, ויתנשא ויתהדר, ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמר קודשא בריחו, ולהאמין כל ברכתה ושירתה, ושברכתה ונחמתה, דמינה מאהבה, ואימרו, אמן.
So keep our feet together towards Jerusalem. Pages 185 through 187 together. The rest of our Amidah silent.
Adonai
Sevadadida Uviyah Yideyilatecha Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avodeinu Imodeinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות אמהות, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך חוזר, ופוקד מושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחלק חיים בחסד, וחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עבר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומדום אליי, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, לחיי המתים, אמן.
נריצך ונקדישך, כזאת שיח שרפי קודש, המקדישים שמך בקודש, ככתוב על ימיך, וכל הזה זה נאמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלך כל הארץ כבודו, כבודו מלא עולם, משרתיו שואלים זה לזה, איה מקום כבודו לעומתם, ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבודו ממקומו הוא יפם ברחמים, ויחון העם המייחדים שמו, ערב ובוקר בכל יום תמיד, פעמיים ביעבר, שמה אומרים, שמה ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו שנדלנה כל חי, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ודברי קודשך כתוב לאמור,
אם לא רנה לעולם, אלייך ציון,
לדור ודור, הללויה, לדור ודור, נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושפחך לא נפרימו שלם ועד, כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל
Page 203.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, והלמד דברי חיותי וימיך מלכותי, בחיי חון ובמכון, ובחיית כל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב והימרו, אמן.
אמן.
יהי שמי רב המברך, לעולם עולם והמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ותהלל שמי קודשה בריחו. לעולם מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה והימרו, אמן. תתקבץ לטון ובוטון לכל ישראל, קדם אבוהון דבשמי והימרו, אמן. יהי שלל רב מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו וכל ישראל והימרו, אמן. עשה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל והימרו, amen.
We invite our bar mitzvah up to the Amud to lead us in Ein Kelohenu.
Ein Kelohenu,
Ein Adonenu, Ein Gemalkeinu, Ein Gemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Adonenu, Mi Gemalkeinu, Mi
Gemoshienu. Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu
Please
Shiktiru,
rise.
Avotenu, Levanecha, Ektoret Hasamim. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו גרי ארצות, ולא שמנו גמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא שמו.
כן נקווה לך אדוני.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו On page 207, we invite those in mourning or observing a yard site this Shabbat, Vayera. We invite you to rise from Mourner's Kaddish, page 207. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. Be seated. Shabbat Shalom. Invite Steve Hamill, one of the vice presidents on our board of trustees, offer gifts and announcements. Okay.
Hi, Ben. Mazel tov. So, as a percussionist, you're a percussionist, right? You have to be playing, you're playing in concert with the rest of the band, with the conductor. And you do that pretty well. Today, you live in concert with your values, with the values of your family, of the congregation, of the community. And you do that very well. As you stand here today, I hope you know that not only is your family proud of you, but your Beth Meyer family is also proud of you to help you continue your Jewish journey. I'm pleased to present with you these gifts: a mezuzah and kosher parchment from our sisterhood and men's club, a Tanakh and certificate of bar mitzvah from the Beth Meyer Board of Trustees, and a Kiddush cup from this year's bar mitzvah class. As you bring Shabbat into your home, you'll remember your whole class and this special time in your life. You stand here today as an adult member of our congregation, and we're excited to watch you continue your Jewish journey as a member of the Beth Meyer family. We all wish you Mazel Tov.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Amen.
Beautifully done. Shkoyach.
Couple of announcements. Actually, an announcement. So tomorrow, from 11 in the morning till 1, virtually, gentleman I worked with for many years, Seth Efron, great guy, editorial editor at Capital Broadcasting, will present a look at the state of North Carolina policy and politics now, and how that's setting the course for what we'll find in 2022. And after Shabbat, you can register online. And we want to thank the Graham Olshansky family for sponsoring the Kiddush. Thank you so much. Once again, Mazel Tov to Ben.
Mazel tov.
Mazel
Shkoyach.
tov.
Beautifully done.
Mazel tov.
Reminder, of course, Minyan tomorrow at 9 and Wednesday at 7. Maura Deborah, what do you guys say?
First of all, I want to encourage everybody to register for the brunch. It needs to be fabulous. I wish I could be there, but I don't know the gig on Sunday morning. I want to remind everybody that we're doing, Social Action is sponsoring 2 collections this month and next month. One is for the Interfaith Food Shuttle. The bin is in the lobby, but you can also go online, and I'm sure you can make a financial contribution as well. If you go to their website, they'll give you an idea of what they really need. The other one is the JFS Hanukkah Drive, and again, you can find information on that on their website, and we have a box in the lobby which gives you information about what it is that they're looking to collect. Hanukkah's early this year, it's right after Thanksgiving. We have families in our community who will not be able to celebrate Hanukkah in any kind of a, I mean, obviously they can celebrate Hanukkah, but they won't be able to do anything special or extra without our support and help. We've had those less than 70 years.
Beautiful.
Please donate generously.
That's wonderful. Shkoyach. Deborah, kol hakavod. Any other announcements to be made here? Okay. Is there, aside from the family and guests that are here, Mazel Tov, but is there anyone here who is new to the area, who's looking at Beth Meyer, maybe new for the first time you're Beth Meyer, kind of shul shopping or something like that, that's here? We can invite you and embarrass you, make you stand up and say who you are. Yes, please, sir. Who are you? You might stand up and tell us what your name and which part of Long Island you came from. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Oh.
2 months ago, we came down here
Of course.
Fantastic.
from Plainview, Long Island.
That's right.
Yay!
Stuart, we're brand new in the shul. Of course, Stuart. With the mask, I didn't recognize you first. Good to see you, Stuart. Welcome to the shul. We're so glad to have you. Awesome. So we're about to conclude services with the Don Olam, the bar mitzvah. And I believe we're going to get the Kiddush starting in the social hall, right? And then take it outside. Still have beautiful weather. So after we conclude services, make your way to the social hall for lunch, and then you'll grab it and sit outside in the courtyard, okay? We invite our bar mitzvah back. He's going to lead us in a Don Olam on page 211.
Adon Olam.
Hashem alav v'terem kol yitzir nira li'nasa v'hefsa kol azai melech shemo nikra v'yaharek lo dakol levado im lo nora v'hu haya v'hu לתפארה, והוא אחד, ואין שני להמשיל לו להבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי, חי גואלי, וצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום. Please rise. בידו אפקיד רוח. Okay, Ben. Tishan ve'ayira ve'imrochi yeviati Adonai li ve'lo ira. Okay.
Alkein berach Adonai et yom hashabat v'kadshehu savri.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam bo rei brihat God.
Amen.
Amen. Take your mask on. There we go. Shekoach. It's just juice. Don't worry. All right. Broken like you're dying.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Motzi le. Take a bite. Shabbat shalom, B'terevon, Shekoach. You did it for mitzvah. Mazel tov. Mazel tov, brother. Mazel tov. Please join us for Kiddush in the social hall. Shekoach. Mazel tov. Shabbat shalom.
Mazel tov. You can take off the mic. You can come back for all this later. And fabulous. I'm going to bring the siddur tonight. You can sign it.
Kedosh, Kedosh, Yisrael, Sur Yisrael, Kuma, Bezrat Yisrael, Kuma.